Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Doubledays Baseball here on the Auburn Doubledays Baseball Network. Trevor Curl up here in the booth here inside of beautiful Sal Magel Stadium here in Niagara, New York, as the Doubledays are on the road taking on the Niagara Power for the first time out on the road this summer. Well, last night the Doubledays were able to take down the Geneva Red Wings in a battle between a couple of tough opportunities for both ball clubs to really strike on the scoreboard. The Doubledays were down early, going down by a score of 9-3 as the starting lineups are just getting announced here inside the ballpark. Let's take a look at the Doubledays starting lineup as announced by manager Ben Julian. Leading things off will be the shortstop Carson Gross. Batting second will be the second baseman Riley Brody. Batting third will be the designated hitter Hazel Martinez. Batting fourth will be the catcher Bobby Stang. Batting fifth will be the right fielder A.J. Wenrich. Batting sixth will be the left fielder Garrett Prosper. Batting seventh will be the extra hitter Benji Reese. Batting eighth will be the first baseman Hal Walker Jr. Batting ninth will be James Musso, the third baseman. And batting 10th, rounding out the order, will be Emil Sander. We just got a very late lineup change for the Niagara Power. It's their starting pitcher, Tommy Peltier, who we saw back in Auburn, was supposed to get the start on the mound, but he had a pregame injury. So we will get you that name as soon as we get an opportunity to take a look. But we are out here on the third base side. We're here on the third base side, well into the stands behind home plate. There's not enough room in the broadcast booth back there, so they sent us down to the visitor side, which is the actual booth for the football games that get played here. So it will be the right-hander Brandon Morse who will be taking the mound for the Pioneers, as we'll be here on both sides take the field. We're ready for the national anthem. And welcome back to Niagara as the Doubledays will be in their road reds and gray bottoms. The Niagara Power in their home their home whites with blue pinstripes, accenting with a couple of electric yellow. As a very small crowd here on our game one of our two-game doubleheader. A late start last night in Auburn between the Doubledays and the Red Wings. That game lasted a little over 3 hours. And it was a quick turnaround this morning. Bus left at just a crack after 8 o'clock. Got to the ballpark around 11, and then there was supposed to be some batting practice on the field, but the cage was sent out, but there was no other options for batting practice, so the guys just stretched out on the field as much as they could. And then the rain, that's right, the rain has continued to drizzle down So it is going to be another soaky ball game here for the summer of 2023. Hope everyone's enjoying their Sunday afternoon as much as we are. As let's read you the starting lineups once again as announced by Ben Julian for the Auburn Doubledays. Leading things off will be the shortstop, Carson Gross. Batting second will be the second baseman, Riley Brody. Batting third will be the designated hitter, Hazel Martinez. Batting fourth will be the catcher, Bobby Stang. Batting fifth will be the right fielder, A.J. Wenrich. Batting sixth will be the left fielder, Garrett Prosper. Batting seventh will be the extra hitter, Benji Reese. Batting eighth will be the first baseman, Hal Walker Jr. Batting ninth will be the third baseman, James Musso. And batting 10th, rounding off the order, the center fielder, Emil Sander. Well, a late scratch for the Niagara pitching staff. I'm sure this is not the call that they wanted right before first pitch. But Tommy Peltier, who we saw back in Auburn, was supposed to get the start and then apparently had an injury entering into the dugout. Supposedly could still start in game 2. But for right now, it is right-hander Brendan Morris. Now let's see how they will line up defensively behind him, going from left to right in the outfield. Nick DiCarlo out in left field, Brett Johnson in center, Jackson Strong out in right field, Vincent Morrow at third base, Zach Evans at short, Billy Morris at second base, Andrew Fairbrother at first, and then behind the plate, completing the back end of the battery and doing the catching is Cal Brazier. Well, the throwdown is sent to second base. Carson Gross, the leadoff man, the switch hitter, batting from the left-hand side with the right-hander Morris on the mound. Will get his start and get the Doubledays doubleheader afternoon baseball ready to go. This is the earliest game so far the Doubledays have played this year, as we are just about to be underway, just a little bit past 1:05 here local time, as Brazier and Morris, the right-hander, getting set on the mound, getting the signs right. These guys just had to come together about 10-15 minutes ago and get the call to get hot right away, with Peltier on the late scratch injury list, as the right-hander Morris set. Carson Gross, left-handed batter, batting left for the switch hitter. He's set. Here's the first pitch of the ball game. It's a fastball taken upstairs for ball one, and we are underway here in Niagara. Gray rain clouds overhead with a lot of misty rain spitting over us as a high fastball misses upstairs for ball two. 2 balls and no strikes to the leadoff man. Carson batting .281 on the summer so far, 16 for 57. That's 3 doubles, 8 RBIs, has walked 4 times. Stolen 5 bags as good fastball catches the outside corner for a called strike at 2-1. As I mentioned, Doubledays in their red roads, or their road reds, excuse me, with gray bottoms. Niagara Power in their home pinstripes, white jerseys with blue accents, as the 2-1 pitch is on the way. Swinging a ground ball up the middle. Zach Evans, he's got it on the run, and it is not in time. Carson Gross hustling down the first base line. It's an infield single, and the Doubledays have the leadoff man on to begin the ball game for Riley Brody. Well, Gross hits just a little weak little ground ball up the middle. The wet turf is going to keep the ball rolling just a little bit. Zach Evans with terrific range up the middle. Lunged out to his glove side, made a stop with the glove, and then on the run had to throw off his left foot, and it was just not in time. Carson can really move. As Speed is aboard with 5 bags on first base. And Brandon Morris quickly has to work out of the stretch for Riley Brody. Here's the first pitch, squares around, fastball misses upstairs high for ball 1, 1 ball, and no strikes. Sam Huff getting the start for the Doubledays, walking in from the right field bullpen, getting his warm-up tosses in. Take a look at the ballpark here inside of Sal Maggie Stadium. It's 330 down the left field line, jets out to 380 into the power alleys, and then comes back into 325 as a move over to first base. Back in with a dive safely is Carson Gross. A very, very empty crowd on hand in today's ball game. At least here in game 1, a 1:05 start time. It was not decided that we would play a doubleheader until a couple of days ago. Got to make up those doubleheaders that we missed back in the first week of play, as here comes a fastball missing upstairs in a really easy take for Brody, and just watched it back to the glove for 2 balls and no strikes. Back-to-back batters for Morris that he can't get the first pitch strike on. Doubledays with a slim 11-9 victory last night over the Red Wings after going down at 9-3 as high fastball runs up and away for ball 3, 3-0. And this is going to be a tough outing for Morse, getting the call right before first pitch, about 20 or 30 minutes or so, with Tommy Peltier slated to get the start. Had to quickly get ready to go, and he's still probably not warm yet, especially with all this rain coming down. He's certainly not ready. Top half of the first inning. Here's the 3-0 pitch on the way. Fastball misses upstairs for ball 4. So Riley Brody walks for the 6th time this season. Moving to second base is Carson Grossen. The Doubledays have a couple of men on here for Hazel Martinez. Hazel batting .318, 6 doubles, a home run, 13 RBIs, 11 walks. Last night went 1 for 2 with an RBI and 2 walks. RBI was on a roasted sacrifice fly to score Tommy Roldan after a 1-out triple. Runners at first and second, they take their leads. Martinez, a left-hander, set in the box. Here's the first pitch. Fastball runs upstairs for ball 1, make it 3 straight batters to start with a ball 1 count. Martinez, a big, powerful left-handed bat. We've missed him in the lineup the last couple of days. Had to come out with a shoulder issue a couple of nights ago against Newark. Dove into home plate. Shoulder says it's a little bit tight, but it's still functionable as a fastball grooves the outside corner for a called strike 1 to even up the count at 1-1. Well, Niagara, this field used to be a natural grass and dirt surface, and then just this last year, a brand new artificial surface has been put onto the field, and it looks beautiful. Nice groomed and even turf, making it a lot better playable for baseball and then off-season work with football and soccer and so on, as a high fastball runs upstairs for ball 3, 3 balls and 1 strike now, and that will bring out the catcher and Cal Brazier to have a conversation with his hurler. And it could be an issue with the rain for sure, as he's grabbing the ball, trying to get a grip and trying to dry off the rag any way he can. And now time is called as the rest of the infielders come on in, along with manager Mike Gabriel out to the mound to have a conversation. Hopefully we're not in a situation like we were last Saturday when these two foes faced off. The game was only slated for a 7 o'clock start time. The umpires didn't show up in a long delay, and then the rain came, and it was a heavy rain that came down. So it pushed us into almost a 45-minute to an hour-and-a-half delay in total, as both umpires are now talking, and it looks like they're going to pull the players off the field, as the home plate umpire is going to have a conversation with Ben Julian, and it could be that we will be in, once again, another rain delay. We'll get more information to you guys soon as whenever we have it, but it looks like we are going to be stuck in a little bit of participation as the rain songs start playing over the loudspeakers here inside Sal Magel Stadium. And yeah, Ben Julian's getting the news from the home plate umpire, so everyone's headed off the field for right now. We'll go ask and get some more information for you guys, but for right now, we are in a rain delay here in the top half of the first inning. Hazel Martinez has a 3-1 count with 2 runners on. We'll be right back on the Doubledays Baseball Network. And welcome back to the Doubledays Baseball Network. We're still in what is a mix of a rain delay and a new pitcher on the mound. Starting pitcher Brandon Morris had to get the plug pulled on him early because he was taking over for Tommy Peltier. And then Morris said he was feeling something on the mound, and so that both ball clubs have pulled themselves off the field for the time being. So either they're going to let this rain try and pass and maybe get a little bit lighter, or wait till a new starting pitcher is warmed up for the Niagara Power. We do not know exactly what will come first. However, we are just right now in a little bit of a rain delay we're just going to safely call it that, with Carson Gross aboard at second base and Riley Brody aboard at first base. Hazel Martinez will still be the batter when we get a new pitcher coming in. And it looks like we have a guy ready to go coming out of the bullpen. Doubledays have yet to leave the dugout. A couple of guys went down into the clubhouse connected to the dugout, but pretty much most players have stayed under the cover of what is as dry as a dugout could be. There's a lot of leaking water in the visitors' dugout and as well as the visitors' clubhouse. Quite an old ballpark here at Sal Magel Stadium. As Ben Julian has grabbed his shell cap, he's moving out. A couple of the umpires have moved their way out from the umpires' room. At least the home plate umpire has moved his way from the umpires' room. They're still playing the rain playlist as Carson Gross has grabbed his helmet. He's making his way out onto the field. No one else has really moved put from the dugout. Here comes Logan Matson now out of the dugout, first base coach. But we're just waiting for this rain delay to just move on by and hopefully get some sort of dry weather. This has just been one of the most unorthodox starts to a summer that I personally have been around. Last year down in North Carolina, we got a couple of rain delays with more thunderstorms, but that was more here and there, not over the course of the last couple of weeks, because all we've gotten ever since the smoke in the last week the first week of play, we were smoked out. We were rained out for the first week of play. Second week of play, we were smoked out. Third week was a little mixture of rain and smoke. And here we are, starting week number 5, and it is exactly where we left off in week 1 with more and more rain coming through the area. So we're hoping that this can pass and hopefully clear skies, especially for the 4th of July when the Doubledays are on the road in Geneva. This is a game that both these ball clubs really need to get in. Actually, it's 2 games that both these ball clubs need to get in. The smoke delays is what kept us from coming to Niagara in the first week, and then some rain kept us from playing a doubleheader back home inside Falcon Park last week, as the field umpire has now come out of the umpire's room. Still waiting on word from the Niagara bench if they're ready to get their starter going. Riley Brody has come out of the dugout as well. He's ready to go. No Niagara Power has yet to take the field, waiting for their starting pitcher to still get warmed up and ready to go 100%. You don't want any more injuries coming from the rest of the game today, as we're just still waiting, still talking. It's one of the few times that I've ever experienced a rain delay on turf, that's for sure, as well, here comes the rest of the Niagara Power. They've started to make their way out of the dugout, and they start to take the field now. They're just going to embrace the weather, embrace the elements, just like the few fans that we have here in attendance for tonight's game, or rather this afternoon's game, I should say. Lights have been turned on, though, here inside the ballpark, just to keep a little more visibility up, with the rain still pouring down, and it looks like it just got a little bit harder instead of softer like we were hoping for. But now the home plate umpire going to explain to Julian and Matson about what the plan is going forward. And so we do have a name now to link for the new arm for Niagara. It is a right-hander under the name of Jacob Smith. Just an absolute bizarre start to today's ball game. We have 2 games to play, 2 sevens of a doubleheader. It is very, very wet here inside the ballpark as the rain continues to pour down onto this turf field, and Well, it's a good thing we are on turf today, especially with some of these fields out here definitely going to get rained out, especially with the dark and stormy rain clouds that we have in the forecast going forward. And Jacob Smith threw a first pitch high during his warm-up tosses. He did not find his footing quite well, so this is going to be a very interesting ball game to say the least on the hitting side, as Hazel Martinez has arisen from the first base dugout. He's making his way back to the batter's box. He's got a 2-1 count here with still nobody out. Carson Gross led off the inning with an infield single, and then Hazel Martinez, make that Riley Brody was aboard at first base on a 4-pitch walk. Hazel Martinez saw a couple of balls, and the rain still continues to pour here in the ballpark. Hazel Martinez working his way back into the left-hand batter's box, facing the right-hander Smith. Andrew Fairbrother is in front of Riley Brody at first base, playing in the back pocket. Zach Evans at short, holding on. Carson Gross backs away to shortstop. Here's the 2-1 pitch on the way to Hazel Martinez. A fastball misses upstairs for ball 3-1. As Sam Huff has also arisen from the first base dugout into the clubhouse, and he's headed down to the right field line to go back to the bullpen, as his little bit of warm-up has also been delayed with all the weather and everything else included in today's affair. Here's the 3-1 pitch on the way to Hazel Martinez as a fastball misses upstairs for ball 4. So a bases-loaded situation right off the bat for the Doubledays, an opportunity to score some runs, something that they've been having struggles against this Niagara pitching staff, as that will bring up the big right-hander in Bobby Stang. Bobby batting .348 on the summer so far, 23 for 66. The team lead in 14 doubles as well as 21 RBIs. Little pause. Here's the first pitch to Bobby Stang. A fastball misses up and away for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. But you got to wonder how much control the pitchers can have over their repertoire tonight. Fastballs are probably going to be most likely the pitch to be thrown. I don't think a lot of breaking balls are going to be able to get the spin that they want, as pitch is sent on the ground, chopping foul down the third baseline, and the count will even up at 1-1. Summer of 2023 is playing a little bit more like a fall day. Still hot and humid, though, out in the elements. We'll luckily be up here in the booth under a nice cover to keep us away from the rain. Smith ready. Here comes the 1-1 pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. Bobby Stang goes chasing after a fastball up and away for a swing and strike 2. Only game to go on in the PGCBL play right now. 1:05 was our official first pitch time. Next game should be about 30 minutes after the conclusion of game 1 here. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Swing and a foul right back to the screen. Stang stays alive. Another reason to be wary about guys is their footing. Doubledays players all brought their metal spikes, and then were informed as they were entering into the clubhouse that no metal spikes are allowed on the artificial turf here. Most of these guys don't own a pair of molded, so they're having to play in what is their quote turfs. It's kind of more of just, you have a little shoe with a little extra grip on the soles of the feet. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Swinging a line drive, sent foul down the first base side, out into the picnic area down the line. Decent amount of foul territory here in the ballpark. A lot of room behind home plate for the ball to go right to the backstop. Have to be wary if you're a catcher, as well as base runners might take the extra bag. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Slider chasing after it in the dirt for a swinging strike 3. 1 away. That will bring up A.J. Wenrich. Brandon Morse got the start. It was supposed to be Tommy Peltier, and then Jacob Smith was called upon just after the second batter of the ball game. He had to get loose and ready to go right away. Wenrich now the batter with the bases loaded. He sees a first pitch fastball run outside for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes. It's been a good tear over the last couple of games for AJ, batting .200, 10 for his last 50. But over the last 10 games or so, he's really jumped that average up. Also jumped up the doubles numbers 2 with 4, as a swing and a miss on a fastball running up above the eyes gets a swing and strike 1 to even up the count at 1-1. Carson Gross aboard at third base. Riley Brody at second. Hazel Martinez at first. One away for the Doubledays after the Bobby Sang strikeout the batter prior. Wenrich working from the back end of the batter's box. Here's a 1-1 pitch on the way. Fastball spiked in the dirt, but a good stop by Cal Brazier. Cal will go to 2 balls and a strike now with only 1 away. Small crowd on hand, all with umbrellas, ponchos, and anything they can to keep themselves protected from the rain that's been coming down for the last couple of hours, as a high fastball is taken upstairs for ball 2. Make that ball 3, 3 balls and a strike now. Doubledays 1 hit so far, and this one now was on the leadoff single by Carson Gross up the middle. Smith pauses at the belt. Here's the 3-1 pitch on the way. Swinging a line drive over to third base. Up the ball to second. Pulls him off the bag. The throw to first base, not in time. Never mind, they're going to call Hazel Martinez out at second base as time is called, as Ben Julian is going to have a quick conversation with the field umpire. The ground ball was hit to Vincent Morrow. Took a step to throw the ball to second base, and Billy Morris, it didn't appear from our vantage point that he was able to keep his foot on the bag, as that's what Ben Julian is going to be discussing about, as the ball was sent high towards the glove side, had him jumping off the bag. Hazel Martinez now making his way back from the dugout. Can't ask for help either, so it's a 2 outs. Hazel Martinez out on the fielder's choice, and that will bring up Garrett Prosper. Well, Niagara will catch a break, as that will bring up the left-hander with runners at first and third. Carson Gross scores and make it at least a 1-run ball game, so the Doubledays are able to break the scoreboard first. Prosper 1 for 3 last night with a double and a couple of RBIs, as the first pitch fastball runs above the eyes for ball 1, 1 ball and no strike. Prosper getting his first start in left field this summer. Seen him at first base most of the time, as well as the EH or DH position. Smith comes set. Wenrich takes off. The throw is high. The throw to second base is going to be not in time. Here comes Brody in. The throw to the plate is in time, and they get Brody by a step at home plate, as the Doubledays try to get a throw on to the plate, with A.J. Wenrich attempting to steal second. Brody was cut down trying to take home plate, but other than that, the Doubledays are able to break through first. They lead it 1-0 going into the bottom half of the first inning. And welcome back to Niagara, as the Doubledays have taken the field in the bottom half of the first inning. Let's take a look at how they'll line up behind Sam Huff, going from left to right. Garrett Prosper out in left field. Emil Sander in center. A.J. Wenrich out in right. And James Musso over at third base. Carson Gross at short. Riley Brody at second. Hal Walker Jr. anchors the infield at first base. And Bobby Stang will be behind the plate doing the catching. For Huff so far this year, 1-0 record in 16 2/3 innings pitched. He's given up 20 hits, 8 runs, 6 of those were earned. ERA of 3.24, walked 4, struck out 16, opponents batting .286 off Huff so far this summer. As let's take a look at how the starting lineup will go for Mike Gabriel's Power. Andrew Stillinger, the designated hitter, will lead things off. Shortstop Zach Evans to follow. Right fielder Jackson Strong will follow him at 3, batting in the 4th spot. Vincent Morrow, the third baseman. Batting 5th will be the second baseman Billy Morris. Batting 6th will be the left fielder Nick DiCarlo. Batting 7th will be the first baseman Andrew Fairbrother. Batting 8th will be the catcher Cal Brazier. Batting 9th will be the left fielder Jason Rodriguez. And batting 10th, rounding off the order, the center fielder Brett Johnson. That will bring up Andrew Stillinger to lead things off for the Power here in the bottom half of the first inning against Sam Huff, as the right-hander deals a fastball on the outside edge to the left-handed swinging Stillinger for a called first strike, 0-1. Huff, we've seen his tempo perfect so far. Gets the baseball right back, just goes right back to work. Old school windup deals the 0-1. Swinging a line drive, that's going to sink into left center field for a base hit. Emil Sanders doesn't cut it off right away, making a big turn at first base, heading to second. The throw is going to be cut off, not in time. Gets away from the second baseman, Brody into second base on a skipping double is Andrew Stillinger. And just like that, the Niagara Power are answering back here in the bottom half of the first inning. I'll bring up the shortstop, Zach Evans. Need to keep him away from anything out and over the plate. Currently in the top 5 in league leaders for batting average. Tall shortstop going from the right-hand side. Stillinger, good speed aboard at second base. He represents the tying run here in the bottom half of the first inning. Or this will be played as 2 7-inning doubleheaders, as first pitch fastball taken on the outside edge for a called first strike, 0-1. Doubledays entering into game 21 of the summer, 10-10, 3.5 back of the division lead. Niagara, this is their 19th game at 11-7, as breaking ball misses upstairs for ball 1, 1 ball and 1 strike. Doubledays coming into this one, a road record of below 500 at 4-5. Niagara certainly played a little bit better at home, despite though being a game below or just a game above 500 at 6-5. As a line drive down the right field line, that is fair, and it's going to get past A.J. Wenrich in the corner. Stillinger comes in to score, making the turnaround third base as Evans throws on the brakes and retreats back to the bag, but it's back-to-back doubles. An RBI for Zach Evans, and this game is tied up at 1-1. Well, what do you expect from one of the better offenses here in the PGCBL? Niagara batting .276 as a team. They have scored 104 runs, 179 hits, 2 doubles tonight. Now they are in 33 for the summer. 9 triples, 3 home runs, walked 87 times, struck out 126 times. They have also stolen 26 bags. As in steps the left-handed hitting Jackson Strong, as the first pitch misses down and away for ball 1, 1 ball and no strikes. Last time these two teams played was back in Auburn on Saturday afternoon, trying to get a doubleheader in. That one turned into just a lone 9-inning affair, as the first pitch misses down low for ball 1, and then ball 2 missed as well. Strong, big left-hand hitter. The first another fastball misses outside for ball 3. 3 straight balls to the 3-hitter. Vincent Morrow, the cleanup man, awaits on deck. Huff leans over the right leg. He comes set now. Takes a look at second. Evans off the bag. Here's the pitch on the way. Fastball runs well above the zone. Gets off the tip of the glove of Bobby Stang to retrieve the baseball. Taking his time unstrapping the gear is Jackson Strong, so he'll just motor his way down to first base. We mentioned the control issues for both these starting pitchers. It's going to be a big issue throughout the rest of this ball game if no one can find a grip on the baseball. Runners at the corners here with still nobody out. Right-hander digs into the batter's box, ready to go off of Sam Huff. Looking for his first out in this one so far this afternoon. Couple of looks. Here's the first pitch. Swinging a foul out of play off beyond the first base dugout. Morrow 0 for 3 in the last time these two faced. That was back on June the 24th. Couple leads off first and third. Strong dancing the pitch. Fastball runs outside for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike evens up the count. Doubledays have a full slate of games coming up this week. Tomorrow they'll be in Newark, and then on the 4th of July in Geneva. Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. A good fastball runs above the hands. Gets a swing and strike 2 from Morrow. First 2-strike count of the afternoon for Sam Huff on the mound. Entering into this ball game, 16 strikeouts so far this summer. Strong, a short little lead at first base. Huff still in the stretch. Now he comes set. Now he's working off a little bit more as time is called by Morrow. Wants an extra second to dry off the handle of his bat and his batting gloves. The rain has let up just a little bit, but it's still coming down quite heavy. Huff ready on the rubber. He comes set. There goes the runner. The pitch is taken inside for ball 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And in with a stolen bag is Jackson Strong, I'll put runners at second and third with still nobody out. Huff ready. Here comes the 2-2 pitch on the way. Fastball runs above the hands for ball 3. And it's another full count to Niagara hitters. This could be one of the more sloppier games we've seen of the summer so far when it just comes to the pitching side of things. Pause from Huff. Here comes the 3-2 pitch on the way. Swinging a pop-up on the infield. Hal Walker Jr. in foul territory. The first baseman moves over towards the first base coach's box, makes the catch. And there's your first out of the inning. I'll bring up Billy Morris, the second baseman. Morris got the start as the leadoff man back in Auburn. Went 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts. These games of doubleheaders just feel like an absolute sprint to the 7th inning as the first pitch is sent foul back to the screen. No balls and a strike for Huff. Both sides with a full bullpen, but for Niagara, they've already wasted 2 pitchers so far. One with an injury walking into the dugout and one already having issues as soon as he's got on the mound to try to start this ball game. Tommy Peltier was slated to start and Brandon Morris was set to be the next man up as a foul ball down the first base side. Walker gives it a look, but it ends up into the picnic area beyond the first base bag. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 away. Runners at second and third. Zach Evans at third base. Jackson Strong at second. Couple of looks. Here's the 0-2 pitch on the way. Swinging a foul. Just pokes it to stay alive as Billy Morris batting in the 5 spot this afternoon. Outfield for the Doubledays playing a little bit shallow. Emil Sander not playing as far back as we usually see him back in Falcon Park. A.J. Wenrich with a good arm in right field. He's playing just a hair deeper. Here's the 0-2 pitch once again. Fastball runs above the hands for ball 1. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Huff ready on the mound. Leans into a sign from Bobby saying he sets up outside. Huff ready. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Swinging another pop-up. Hal Walker Jr. gives it a chase. He's running out of room towards the fence. He tries to make a leap, but it just winds up off the chain link fencing. It looks like he got his glove caught in the fencing of the railing heading down from the grandstands. So a missed opportunity for the Doubledays to get 2 quick pop-outs to keep this game where it's at 1-1. Both sides really don't have an advantage right now in the rain, so whoever's able to get the most runs early on just has to play smart, conservative baseball. Huff ready on the mound. Morse ready at the plate. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. Swinging a high pop-up into left center field, giving chases. Prosper make that Emil Sander, calls everyone off, makes the catch. Runners tag, once in to score, and Zach Evans. Jackson Strong moves up to third base on a sacrifice fly. Ben Julian wants an appeal at second base. The throw goes in there. Safe is the call by the field umpire. So it's 2-1 our score in favor of the Niagara Power on the sacrifice fly. That's 2 away now. And that will bring up the left fielder, Nick DiCarlo. Runner at third base, 2 away. Here's the first pitch as a line drive sent foul by DiCarlo down the first base side down the line. And it bounces off into the picnic area yet again. We'll see a lot of foul balls heading that way. Home plate umpire gets a new set of baseballs from the Niagara bench. Despite the rain, it is quite hot and humid here. Just off the border of Canada as a good fastball is painted on the outside corner for a called strike two. Huff has a man in the palm of his hands now. Two runs in, Jackson Strong aboard at third base. Infield playing deep for 2 outs. Here's the 0-2 pitch on the way. Fastball runs in off the plate. Gets DiCarlo to slide out of the way. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count now. Doubledays coming off back-to-back wins against the Geneva Red Wings. And last night, Elmira came, or at least hosted the Niagara Power and lost a tough one 14-1 as a swinging a foul back overhead of the screen. Tried again at 1-2. Doubledays 0 for 2 so far in the season series against Niagara. Lost the home opener back on June the 3rd. That was a 13-2 loss. And then just a couple of nights ago, lost a close one last week as a good breaking ball picked up in the dirt by Bobby Stang keeps Jackson Strong planted at third base. James Musso, the third baseman, playing as deep as he can, let his arm. Carson Gross, the shortstop, playing on what would be the outfield grass along with Riley Brody at second. Here's the 2-2 pitch on the way. Fastball runs up and away. Couldn't get a good grip on the fastball. Uses the same baseball, trying to blow some air on his hands to find any sort of dry spot in his pants. He's rubbing up and down his right pant leg. Al Walker Jr. playing off the bag at first base. Here's the full count pitch on the way. Upstairs for ball 4, so it's a 2-out walk that extends the inning. Nick DiCarlo is down 0-2, has worked it full, and then has been awarded a free pass. As Bobby staying out in front of the home plate area, flashing the first and third signs to the infielders, as that will bring up the first baseman, Andrew Fairbrother. Got to hold them right here at just a 2-run bottom of the first inning after you were able to scratch up 1. Huff's jersey soaked wet already as a first pitch fastball sent right back to the screen foul. No balls and a strike. You got to watch out for batters having a grip on the bat as well. As much as it's important for pitchers to have grips on the pitches, the batters feel some sort of uncomfortability. You might see them start ripping off the batting gloves and just going straight. Vladimir Guerrero hands on the bat as a fastball runs outside for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike. Huff now blowing and trying to swat any sort of moisture away from his hand. It's pretty much inevitable. Got to bear through the elements. Jumping off the bag at first base is DiCarlo. He takes off. The pitch is sent foul back overhead, so DiCarlo will have to retreat back to first base. Runners at the corners, 2 away. 1 ball, 2 strikes the count. Andrew Fairbrother, the 7th batter in the inning so far for Niagara. Huff on the mound, works on the first base side. There goes DiCarlo again. Pitch is popped up, foul territory. Al Walker Jr. gives it another look, but it ends up back towards the area beyond first base in the foul and out of play. Fairbrother batting .211 entering into this ball game. 8 for 38, only 2 RBIs so far this summer. Walked 6 times. Struck out only once. Short lead by DiCarlo. Here's the pitch on the way. Fastball taken on the inside corner for strike 3. Sam Huff's first strikeout retires the Power in the bottom half of the first inning. But Niagara does strike for 2 as we now go to the top half of the second. The Doubledays trailed the Niagara Power 2-1. And welcome back to Niagara as we are still in a soaky scene. Garrett Prosper, the left-hander, was last up when Riley Brody was cut down trying to take home plate after A.J. Wenrich was stealing second base. So the Doubledays will still have 6, 7, and 8 due up here in the top half of the second inning. Down 2-1 as a first pitch fastball misses upstairs for ball one, 1 ball and no strikes. Jacob Smith getting the late call to get the ball started for Niagara as a high fastball taken for ball 2, 2 balls and no strikes. 0-1 on the summer so far with a 10.80 ERA. In 5 games, he's only started 1. Does have a save. 6 2/3 innings pitch as Prosper is out in front of a fastball, sends it back to the screen, foul at 2-1. Smith has struck out 4, walked 7, given up 5 hits. He's given up 7 runs. All those have been earned so far. Swing and a miss on a good changeup. Prosper out in front once again, grabbing the barrel of the bat, looking for any sort of sticky pine tar he's got up there, though that rain is certainly going to cause a little bit of that stickness to turn slick as he golfs a high pop-up into shallow right field. Moving in is Jackson Strong. He's there to make the catch in shallow right for out number 1. Prosper retired. 1 away, that'll bring up Benji Reese. Batting .278 so far this summer. Had a double in last night's ball game, makes it 3 for the summer. 2 RBI, 6 walks. Last night went 1 for 2. That double and a couple of walks as well. First pitch fastball runs upstairs for ball 1. 1 ball and no strikes to the Doubledays extra hitter. Benji got the start last night behind the plate, catching for young Cooper Polkovich. And the fastball dots the knees on the outside corner for a called strike 1 to even up the count at 1-1. It's been a tale of 2 seasons for the Doubledays so far. Auburn against teams who are plus 500 have a record of 4-7 as a fastball runs below the zone for ball 2, 2 balls and a strike. Against teams below 500, however, Auburn has been able to take care of business, 6 for their last 3. 2-1 pitch on the way, swinging a foul over the screen and back into the crowd behind home plate, and the count will even up at 2-2. Auburn has certainly seen their fluctuations of stats as a team entering into this ball game, batting .259 with 163 hits. Scored 130 runs, though a couple of those big blowouts against Geneva certainly helps, as the 2-2 pitch is a fastball that runs off the inside edge, off the tip of the glove of Brazier back to the screen, and the count runs full at 3-2. 44 doubles hit for the Doubledays so far this year. 9 triples, 5 home runs. Certainly been an offensive forward team, as here comes the full count on the way to Reese. Checks his swing. Does he go around? No, he does not, says the field umpire. A good challenge pitch in the dirt. Reese is able just to hold back, so it's a 1-out walk. I'll bring up Hal Walker Jr. Looking to snap an 0 for 16 in PGCBL play. Out of Hiram College, his last hit was a double against the Syracuse Saltcats back on June the 22nd. Though those games don't count into the stats, it certainly does count to the confidence. Here's the first pitch. Fastball runs well up and inside. Walker having to give a little back bend to keep himself from having a baseball hit the top of his helmet. Walker, a tall up stance, very short stride between his steps, as a line drive hit out to deep left center field. Going back is Brett Johnson, still ranging back. He's there to make the catch in front of the wall. Retreating back to first base is Benji Reese. But that is the best contact we've seen from Hal Walker Jr. so far this year. It's a loud fly out, and there's 2 away for James Musso. Walker got into a pretty good fastball up in the zone, tried to take it out to left center field, the 380 marker. Brett Johnson was in full retreat back, and he was able to make a routine grab shy of the warning track. 2 away for James Musso. 1 for 5 so far this summer. Last hit came on June the 11th against Newark back at home, as a first pitch fastball misses up and away for ball 1, 1 ball and no strikes. Billy Morris, the second baseman, playing close to the second base bag with Andrew Fairbrother holding the runner on as the fastball catches the knees for a called strike one to even up the count at 1-1. Wide open right side of the field for Musso if he just chooses to poke something into right field. Reese with a short lead off first base. Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way. Fastball in the dirt, gets away from the catcher Brazier, who is just about to get into a throwing position. Didn't have control of the baseball. It goes towards the Doubledays dugout. Reese now moves up into scoring position with 2 away. As time is called, as we're waiting for Jacob Smith to dry up his hand a little and get a new baseball from the home plate umpire. Just an odd day to start with, getting on the bus. The bus didn't arrive to the ballpark until about 35-40 minutes after it said it would. 3-hour drive over from Auburn out here to Niagara. Supposed to take on-field batting practice, but the batting cage was left unattended as a first pitch fastball, rather a 1-1 fastball runs up and away. Check that, make that ball 3-1 the count now. Rain continues to pour down here inside Sal Magel Stadium. Here's the 3-1 pitch on the way, swinging a line drive, base hit into right field. Reese getting the wave around third. Up with the ball is strong. The throw to the plate will skip, not in time. Musso into second base, and he slides and just holds on to the bag at second base. It's an RBI single by James Musso, and the Doubledays have tied it up here in the top half of the second inning. It is 2-2. We're talking about that wide open hole on the right side. Billy Morris holding on towards second base. Andrew Fairbrother no longer holding on the runner at first base, so that 4-hole was still open with Morris playing up the middle close to the bag. Jackson Strong tried to give a strong throw from right field, ended up skipping it in. And it gave Benji Reese just enough time to slide in home. So an RBI single gets the second run for the Doubledays on the board. As that will bring up the 10-hitter Emil Sander from SUNY Oswego. Getting a little bit more playing time over the next couple of days as first pitch fastball runs upstairs for ball 1 ball and no strikes. This game will probably have a lot of back and forth in it, so don't get comfortable with a lead is the only calming words of advice you can hear from upstairs where it's a little bit drier. All these dark and stormy rain clouds still overhead. They're not going anywhere. Here's the 1-0 pitch on the way. Fastball runs well up and inside for ball 2-2-0. And you can just tell that Jacob Smith on the mound doesn't have the control of the baseball he would certainly like. And we saw that with Sam Huff as well, who's blowing his hand, trying to find any spot of the dry of his pants that he could at least help get some sort of moisture wicked away as a 2-0 pitch is swung on and missed. Sanders comes up empty and late. Ball and 2 balls and a strike now. If it gets to him, the top of the order and Carson Gross due up next. Sanders takes a step out before making his way back into the box. Musso, the short lead off second base, working out. Here's the 2-1 pitch on the way. In the dirt, gets away. Musso doesn't get a good jump on it right away. Didn't go very far from Brazier either. Kept it inside what would have been the dirt around home plate. That's Jacob Smith trying to fix any sort of the buttons he's got on his jersey. 3 balls and a strike. Emil Sander, 3 for 15 with an RBI, a couple of walks. Smith looks in, gets his sign, closed off on the rubber. Here's the 3-1 pitch on the way, runs upstairs for ball 4, so a routine walk for Emil Sander. As Jacob Smith needs to fix the jersey yet again. And here comes the switch hitter, Carson Gross, who's 1 for 1 in this one so far with a single and a run scored. Third walk so far of the game. Second walk so far given up by Smith. Gets a new baseball from the home plate umpire. Carson broke his first bat of the summer last night on a ground out to second base, so we've seen him use a natural Rawlings bat as the first pitch is a fastball that gets called strike 1 on the outside edge. Smith just has given up the battle on the buttons on his jersey. Gross switch hitter batting left. Here's the 0-1 pitch on the way. Fastball taken for a called strike 2 on the outside corner. No balls, 2 strikes. 2 aboard. James Musso at second, Emil Sander at first base, both with short leads. Couple of looks. Here's the 0-2 pitch on the way. Swing and a miss. Carson Gross out in front of a breaking ball, as the umpires will get together as we go in now to the bottom half of the second inning. The Doubledays have equalized. It's 2-2. And here we are, and we are once again, you expected it. The rain has gone a little too much once again here inside Niagara, and the home plate umpire and the field umpire got to a quick conversation. It was a pretty quick decision. They're starting to head off the field, talking with Ben Julian in front of the Doubledays first base dugout. And it looks like we'll be once again in another rain delay. And I don't know how many more rain delays you can call until you're not able to get this game back and underway. I mean, it really does hurt both sides, especially the pitching side. The Doubledays have only used 1 pitcher, Sam Huff, so far, and we are tied at 2-2 going into the bottom half of the second inning. Niagara has used 3 pitchers so far, as Huff still getting the conversation from Ben Julian, and now Julian and Mike Gabriel, manager of the Niagara Power, will get together and talk, so who knows how long this delay is going to last, as most of the Doubledays players are starting to make their way out of the dugout and into the clubhouse down below the field. I don't know if they're able to call this game. If you call this game, you have to call it as an incomplete game, and not only that, you're going to have to play another doubleheader. I mean, if these guys were a little bit closer together like Auburn was to Newark or Geneva, or heck, even if we were as close as Jamestown was to Niagara, you might be able to squeak in these games, but a 3-hour bus ride either direction for both sides makes it darn near impossible to figure out a time when both sides have days off when you can actually play these games. And this was the problem that we were talking about back a couple of weeks ago when those rain delays were caused in Auburn. Both these fields are turf fields, but the rain just gets too much. Starting pitchers can't really find a grip. It gets to a little too dangerous, especially if they're not wearing metal spikes. Any sort of slip, any sort of weird motion, and you have a pulled hamstring, or even worse, you get into a point where now you're talking about player safeties, and these guys are only rentals here. They're not under any sort of contracts for summer ball. They're just here to get their work in between the school seasons, as now all 4 coaches have gotten together to talk with the umpiring crew. I can't imagine they just called both these games as it is. The rain is just not going to let up, and there's a sense of you feel like you need to get these games in. The way the season's going, the way things are going into the next couple of weeks, as the Doubledays have a full slate of games. I'm sure the Niagara Power have a full slate as well. But we're still having the conversation on the field behind home plate in front of the umpire's entrance onto the field of play. Doubledays players are still hanging around in the dugout. Only a couple have vacated into the clubhouse down below. Niagara's batters are still out ready, like they're about to take their swings for the bottom half of the second inning. As here comes our stadium attendant, as well as you consider the field crew making their way down onto the field of play, as, my goodness, this would be our second rain delay in as many weeks, especially on turf. Something I'm not used to saying, that's for sure. Back home, Pacific Northwest, you play these games no matter what, even if it is raining. You just kind of have to suck it up and deal with it. But when it is summer ball, when it doesn't exactly fully matter, player safety is the #1 concern, as now the umpires are going to go talk and handshakes are being taken in, and it looks like that could be it, as I think they're going to call this ball game as it is, a incomplete game in the second inning. But it looks like the Doubledays have started packing up their stuff. They're headed for the clubhouse, and it looks like that might be it for baseball here this afternoon. Supposed to have a 2-game doubleheader. Game 1 started at just a click after 1:05, and Game 2 is supposed to be 30 minutes after the conclusion of Game 1. But it looks like that will do it. Umpires are shaking hands with the both managers, and, well, certainly that is going to do it here inside of Sal Magel Stadium. The Doubledays and the Power, once again, rain delayed and postponed. We will have more updates for you going forward, but for right now, this will be a Doubledays and Niagara Power game that will not be continued on, as it looks like we'll be packing up our stuff and heading home. Well, we appreciate everybody for tuning in for the 2 innings that the inning and a half that we were able to get in play. The Power were supposed to hit in the bottom half of the 2nd inning, but we are going to be stopped here, tie game, going into the bottom half of the 2nd inning, 2-2 our score. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I'm Trevor Curl. We'll hopefully see you next time on the Doubledays Baseball Network. Won't be on the air tomorrow or on the 4th of July for the 3rd and 4th, so we hope everybody enjoys their safe and happy Independence Day. And we'll see you next time on the Doubledays Baseball Network.